Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Heidi Rosendahl. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors and students on behalf of the following school. From Victoria, Furbank Grammar School, Brighton. Invite you all now to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Norman Leslie Brumm. Norman Leslie Brumm was born in 1897, the youngest son of Michael and Mary Brumm of Albury, New South Wales. He attended the local Albury Superior Public School and later worked as a pottery hand and a labourer. He was a keen swimmer and in 1909 won the Albury Superior Public School Swimming Championships. Brumm enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 28th of June 1915 when he was 18 years old and began training with the Depot Battalion and the reinforcements of the 6th Infantry Battalion. Many men found the transition from civilian to military life difficult, and at some point in 1915, Brumm deserted and abandoned his training. He re-enlisted, however, on the 9th of November and he retook his oath. He joined the reinforcements of the 29th Infantry Battalion at Broadmeadows and the very next day sailed from Melbourne aboard the transport ship Ascanius for service overseas. He arrived in Egypt early in December 1915, where he continued his training and was taking on strength of the 29th Battalion on the 3rd of March 1916. The unit formed part of the 8th Brigade of the 5th Australian Division. On the 16th of June, he sailed with his unit from Alexandria in Egypt to Marseille in France. Soon after arriving, he transferred north to Hazebrouck, near the French border with Belgium. On the 19th of July 1916, Brumm and the 29th Battalion participated in the Battle of Fromelles, the first major battle for the Australian forces on the Western Front. Australian and British forces attacked a bulge or a salient in the German lines known as the Sugarloaf, the British from the west, the Australians from the north. The attack commenced at 6 o'clock in the evening after a 7-hour-long artillery bombardment on the German lines. The Australian troops climbed out of no man's land in the German artillery and machine gun fire. One soldier later described the ordeal by saying, "The novelty of being a soldier wore off in about 5 seconds. It was like a bloody butcher's shop." Brumm and the 29th Battalion formed part of a later wave of the initial attack and entered the lines after 8 p.m. As Brumm and his platoon were in the heat of battle at Fleury, to the north of Fromelles, he was killed by machine gun or artillery fire. He was 19 years old and had been in France for less than a month. Brumm was one of 9 soldiers of his platoon to be killed at Fromelles. There were only 2 survivors. Australian forces as a whole lost over 5,500 men killed, wounded or missing. In the chaotic fighting, Brumm was originally reported as missing in action. However, German authorities later found his identity disc and confirmed that he had been killed. His body was not found on the battlefield and his name was placed on the VC Corner Australian Cemetery Memorial, which records the names of those soldiers killed at Fromelles who have no known grave. In 2008, a mass grave containing the bodies of over 250 Australian and British soldiers killed at Fromelles was discovered at an area of the former battlefield known as Pheasants Wood. Brumm's body was successfully identified and he now lies in Fromelles, Pheasants Wood Military Cemetery. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Norman Leslie Brumm, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.